Hello, and welcome to today's presentation on Chapter 4, Changing Perspectives and Platform Development for Instructional Methods. Today's presentation was created by Emily, Michelle, Ashley, and Abby. We hope you enjoy today's information and find it helpful for teaching your CLD students. This chapter explores a variety of program models for students learning the English language. These models include bilingual and DSL education. Today, we will look at research on the effectiveness of programs. We'll explore different socio-political influences. We will look at the role of court precedent in shaping these programs and the current characteristics of these models. Researchers who have studied different English language educational programs found 3 key predictors of CLD students' academic success were more influential than any other factors, including poverty, school location, and status of the student's language group. The variables most effective for CLD student success included 1. The delivery of academic instruction. Delivery of instruction should first be taught to students through their first language for as long as possible, but then also delivered through their second language for part of the day. 2. Teaching curriculum. Curriculum through both L1 and L2 should include cognitively complex information, discovery, and active learning. And 3. Changes in socio-cultural context of school. This includes integration of CLD students with English-speaking students. Bringing all types of students together creates positive school relationships and a safe learning environment. Research identified the most effective programming for CLD students is bilingual education, specifically two-way immersion programs. These programs were most effective in maintaining grade-level skills in L1 and reducing the time needed to achieve success in L2. Researchers have also acknowledged ways to enhance the effectiveness of bilingual programs. This includes the promotion of equal status for each language, encouragement of parental involvement in school, and the use of instructional approaches that stress whole language, the use of natural language in content areas, and the cooperative learning environments. Each day in school systems throughout the nation, a variety of variables complicate the implementation of ideal programming for English learners. Socio-political influences are found at the national, state, and local levels. On the national level, the English-only movement in the 1990s and beyond has had some citizens argue that our nation should not offer instruction in other languages at school and believe bilingual education is ineffective. At the state level, some states have fought to limit or eliminate bilingual education, while other states either do not offer a bilingual education endorsement or certification for educators. By eliminating ways to acquire an ESL endorsement, there becomes a lack of qualified educators to teach these educational programs. At the local levels, there seems to be a lack of advocacy for the rights of CLD students to an appropriate education. This has limited the availability of appropriate program models for CLD students. Parents of CLD students may also be limited in their ability to advocate for their child. Reasons for this may include language differences, work schedules, cultural deference to teachers, and a perception of an unwelcoming school environment. In America, the laws and policies created drive the quality of education. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was the first piece of legislation that stated all students have the right to learn. This was followed shortly by the Elementary and Secondary Education Act in 1968. This mandated funds to be authorized for professional development, instructional materials, resources to support educational programs, and the promotion of parental involvement. In it was tucked Title VII, known as the Bilingual Education Act. It established a federal policy for bilingual education, citing its recognition of special educational needs of the large numbers of children of limited English-speaking ability in the United States. It provided funding for staff training and the creation and maintenance of the programs. At this point, states could opt in or opt out. The Lau versus Nicholas class action changed that. It was now required that all school districts have special programming designed for ELL students regardless of funding. The BEA has been reauthorized many times. These changes represent the changing demographics in the United States and the politics that surround the change. The 1984 and 88 amendments gave states more freedom of programming, no longer requiring bilingual education, but allowing the states to determine the programming based on the needs of their students. The 1994 amendment's goal was to ensure ELL students master English as they attain high-level academics in the content areas and to encourage the use of the children's native language and culture in classroom instruction. No Child Left Behind in the year 2001 replaced the Bilingual Education Act. The goal of NCLB was for ELL students to attain English proficiency, develop high levels of academic attainment, and meet the same challenging achievement standards all children are expected to meet. The accountability came in the form of high-stakes testing. All ELL students had to show progress on the annual achievement test. No Child Left Behind was replaced in 2015 by the Every Student Succeeds Act. Its full implementation was to take place during the 2017-2018 school year. The ESSA's goal has focused on fairness and accountability. Now, multiple measures can be used to show progress. Reporting now includes for new and long-term ELLs. Newcomers are excluded from testing for a short time, and exited ELLs are now included in the reporting for 4 years. As our understanding of language acquisition and content achievement changes, and as the political climate of our country changes, so do the laws that support and ensure quality education for all students. Each language program has different characteristics and concerns. In English as a Second Language, or ESL programs, students are taught in L2 with scaffolds created. The teacher's goal is to make sure the students feel success at their level until higher levels of content rigor can be met. The best situation would be a content-based program that focuses on many situations to use language interaction where students feel comfortable. Hands-on and real-life lessons are used to best relate to CLD students. The biggest concern of this pull-out program is that the students tend to stop being pulled out once they reach a proficient level of BICS and do not receive extra needed instruction to reach the proper levels of language academically. Transitional bilingual education is the most common form of bilingual programming and is typically only used for 2 to 3 years. Then the students would be transitioned into L2 only instruction. The theory that supports this is that students will learn to read and write best in their L1. So if instruction remains in their L1, they will eventually transfer the skills that they are practicing to their L2. Within this program, all instruction is done in L1, as well as instruction in the L2 in the content areas. The biggest worry, however, is the limited amount of time students have to master their L2. Unlike transitional bilingual education, the developmental bilingual education model recognizes the amount of time a student may need to reach high levels of CALP in L2. Students receive all content instruction in their L1 and L2 for as many grades as the school is able to provide. The program begins with kindergarten or first grade and expands to include each additional grade thereafter. Students will need a minimum of 5 to 6 years to begin showing high academic achievement. The goal is to have full academic language proficiency in both languages, as both languages are valued as an asset. Problems arise when students come to the program late, are highly transient, and exit the program early. Lastly is two-way immersion. This model offers integrated language and academic instruction for both CLD students and native English speakers. There are two popular program models, 90-10 and 50-50. 90-10 targets development first in the language of the CLD speaker, with 10% left of the day to focus on oral language development in English. The following year, the percentages would change to include more English instruction. It would continue the adjustment until a 50-50 ratio is reached. The 50-50 program is similar, except that instruction begins at a 50-50 ratio. As mentioned before, this is the most effective model discussed in this chapter. However, there are still some concerns, including parent buy-in at the start may deteriorate over time when the work becomes more challenging. It's important for us as educators to become familiar with and serve as advocates for the best programming possible in order to do what is best for CLD students and their families. We hope you enjoy the rest of the day as we delve deeper into the history, effectiveness, and characteristics of the English language programs. Thank you.